Everybody just wants to get ahead. That's all it is. Just a little bit. You know, you want to get rich. Hey, that's cool. Good on you. But most people just want to get by at the end of the month, not stress about money so much, and maybe save up a little bit. You know, go on vacation, take the kids to Disney World at some point. You know, you're single, hey, maybe you go to Bali. I don't know, something like that. But say you get out of college, you're a young guy or girl, and you get a new job, right? It's the time to start being an adult. You get a nice job, 75K they say. That could be good, right? That's a nice wage. It seems like a nice wage, but 75K today, hey, just poverty wage. Let's see.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt.
He's right though. $75,000 a year does sound like a pretty good job. I think 5-10 years ago, especially 10 years ago, that would have been a pretty decent wage, 75. People would be pretty happy to get that. Not just people getting fresh out of college, but just working people in general would be pretty happy to have $75,000 a year. It's definitely going to pay your mortgage, going to pay your car, going to pay all those things. You'll be able to afford all the beer you want. It's pretty good. You can have a good life. You can still kind of do what you want to do. You know, it's not crazy. It's not great. You're not going to be rich, but it's a nice, solid salary.
Outside of a car, and please don't hit me with the you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those two things come out of their paycheck and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a one-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, that car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home and you only eat decent quality food because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make $75,000 a year, and outside of a car payment, you have zero debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's like $320 a month. And there's going to be, well, dog's $300. Shut up. Shut your stupid, contrarian, edgelord mouth. That's not a doctor bill, because God knows just because we have insurance doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. People like to be entertained. They want to date. They want to... There's those of you out there that will tell somebody living like this on $75,000 a year before taxes that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they should get a second job, that they should get a side hustle, that they should get a better job. And the fact that you would look at somebody with no debt other than a car and say something like this to them means objectively you're a moron and you live in a fantasy world. This is unsustainable.
You gotta love a little refreshing honesty, and that's exactly what this is. Listen, this isn't doom and gloom. This is just reality. It's what it is. $75,000 a year is nothing. It's a new poverty wage. It's all that it is. It used to be $25,000, $35,000 a year. That's essentially $75,000 a year now. It's kind of gross because the vast majority of people in America aren't going to be making that much. Not at all. It's a struggle out there. It's a struggle for everyone. It's a struggle for us. You know, we do pretty well for ourselves, but still, like, it's a struggle for us. We have to be very careful with our spending, you know, and we're a family. But like, as a single person with 75,000, like, you know, I thought you'd be pretty good. Like I said, you're not going to be rolling in cash, right? You're not going to be rich. You know, you're not going to be popping bottles on yachts. But hey, you want to go see a movie? You know, you don't have to really worry about it. The vast majority of people out there can't afford to do anything. That's why alcoholism is so high. That's why so many people are, you know, smoking stuff. It's real depressing out there because it doesn't seem like there's a way up. If $75,000 a year is a poverty wage now, what's it going to be like in 5 years? What's it going to be like in 10 years? We're looking at over another $10 trillion being added to the debt over the next decade. You know, that just means more money is going to be printed. That means that the value of the dollar is going to go lower, and we all know the cost of living isn't going to go any lower. Right? We talk about CPI, we talk about inflation rates and how they're going down. No, that just means they're not going like this. They're going like this, but income still going like this. Right? This isn't hard math. Right? It's not hard math. And yeah, there's a lot of contrarians out there that'll be like, you know, 75,000, you should be able to do what you want. You just got to stop drinking $5 coffees. The $5 coffee thing's got to go. Number one, you see me drinking coffee on here all the time. Listen, I buy my own solo cups. We have an espresso. I make my own. It's a secret right there. Very rarely do we go to a cafe, and if we do, it's because family time, because you got to go out there. You can't just be so focused on pinching pennies that you don't live a life. And there's people out there that are still saying, well, I make $35,000 a year, I own a house, I do whatever I want, I ain't got no debt. Yeah, you're old. You're old, and you're from a different era where you can do those kind of things. And if you own everything, $35,000 a year, yeah, you can do that, fine. You know, but that's very few people now. That's very few people. And even people who own all their stuff are finding themselves in positions where they have to go into debt just to keep up with the cost of living. $75,000 should be enough for a grown person to live their life. Like I said, if you can get that remote now, and the war against remote working is just cruelty. Finally, there was a chance for people to leave this country, take a good salary with them, and live well. But I want to go back to those same people who were saying 35. This is originally a travel channel. And there's always this big thing where people are saying, well, I live in Thailand, I spend $800 a month, and I live like a king. No, you don't. People lie. People lie. Because if you are living off $800 a month in Thailand, that means that you live in a concrete box with no air conditioning. You live off $1 pad thais and you drink yourself blind every night. That's all that is. Can you do that? Yeah, but nobody wants to do that. And stop giving advice. People don't need to listen to you. This is what worries me. This is what should worry all of us. If $75,000 is the new poverty wage for a single person, what does that tell us about the future? Because people aren't going to be making $150,000 a year 10 years from now. That is not going to be the median annual income. It's not going to be. That means that we're going to have so many people in the working poor. And that's why there has to be some kind of solidarity. This whole keeping up with the Joneses thing, I need to look better than my neighbor is. I need to have more stuff than them. I need to push off this perceived idea of wealth that I need to internalize and believe because I got to fake it until I make it. That's one of the most toxic things that ever really went viral in our social consciousness. This whole fake it till you make it mentality. Dude, be a minimalist. Be a minimalist and save. Now I'm saying don't go so far with that, because at the same time, you shouldn't be living in your car. The van life thing is a massive cope. I'm sick of it. You know, you see somebody out there in a $150,000 van that's all tricked out. Yeah, you know what? They're from a different world. Most people who are doing van life are in a 1982 Dodge Caravan that smells like old socks and patchouli. That's what that is. You know, it's just a cope. People are saying, oh, you should just live in your car, right? Have a $75,000 a year job and just live in your car. Save money. This is not the answer. This is not appropriate. It's not acceptable. It's not a life hack to do that. To put yourself in misery for no reason. There has to be a better way to do this. But the fact is, there really isn't. We're all just kind of stuck doing this right now, right? Man, Who would have thought 10 years ago that $75,000 a year would keep you broke? But then again, who would have thought 10 years ago that the average car payment would be over $800? It's a wild world we live in, and these costs are really going to destroy our country, because I don't feel like there's a way that it won't, you know? I don't know. But why don't you guys tell me what you think, because it's a dark world out there, and it's getting more expensive. And I don't know what you guys believe. Some of you think that tariffs are going to be destroying us, and some people think that, hey, it's nothing, it's just propaganda, you know. But things are changing, they're getting more expensive, and I don't know about you guys, but they're not exactly handing out these $75K a year jobs either. So, hey, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate the support. Everybody, hey, like and subscribe, give a share, give a comment, all that. Hey, become a member, give us money. Everybody likes money. But hey, we appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping by.